I'm very pleased to have these wonderful artists here, Rihanna Ozzie, Emmanuel Ortiz, Arvind Moniz, and Teresa Ortiz for this conversation dealing with Native American and Latino American voices. The work of Native American artists challenges America's present-day conception of itself as a nation as well as America's history. At the same time, these artists give voice to a complexity of concerns within their own lives and communities. Latino American artists are the fastest growing segment of the artistic world and have become an increasingly visible presence in Minnesota in recent years. Issues facing the Latino community remain at the forefront, unfortunately, in certain ways of presidential policies and in the challenges to Latino American studies in Arizona, as that indicates, also in the education and the arts. So the way we're going to run this is I asked each of the panelists to give me a question that they particularly wanted to answer. So we'll have each of them do an individual question, and then I'll begin to open it up to questions for the panel as a whole. And then after about an hour, we'll open it up to questions for the audience. So hopefully, when I ask for questions for the audience, you'll have an hour to prepare. There won't be people sort of looking down and that you'll raise your hand and have questions, okay? I want to thank the Loft for hosting this, and all the staff in the Loft that made this possible, including obviously my good friend Bafi. Mark Tang is videotaping these, and we're putting these up on YouTube. The first three conversations are already up on your YouTube. I want to thank Paul Murat for transcribing them, and I'm going to be, once I get my together, I'm going to be putting up some of the transcripts on my website. So, okay, that's all the information. Oh, I'm supposed to say this. This activity is made possible by the voters of Minnesota through a grant from the Minnesota State Arts Board, thanks to a legislative appropriation from the Arts and Cultural Heritage. Rihanna Yazzie is a Navajo playwright, producer, director, and actor based in Minnesota. She's a two-time Playwrights Center Jerome Fellow and was a Playwrights Center core member for 3 years. She was a playwright in residence at the William Ing Center in Independence, Kansas. Her most recent projects include a joint commission from the Oregon Shakespeare Festival and the Public Theater. She has been a resident of the Bicentennial Borderman National Theater for Youth Symposium and the Kennedy Center's New Visions, New Voices. She created New Native Theater in 2009, a company based in the Twin Cities. It is a new way of thinking about and staging Native American stories. She's also creating a 13-episode podcast, a comedy drama series called Little Apple, Big Apple, about the highs and lows of being a Native American living in the Twin Cities. I should also say that you just got your New Native Theater just got its 501c3. So people can now begin contributing to New Native Theater, okay? Emmanuel Ortiz here is a Chicano, Puerto Rican, Irish American community organizer and poet. He believes art must be an integral part of the struggle for liberation and social change. He's a founding member of the Minnesota-based Latino Writers Poets Collective, Palabristas, Latina Word Singers, founded in 2002. He's written 2 chapbooks, The Word is a Machete, Post-Pocho Puerto Rican Poems of the Personal and Political, and Brown, Unlike Me, Poems in the Second Layer of Our Skin. Arvind Moniz has been part of the Twin Cities artistic community for over 2 decades as an actor, and only recently has begun to share his poetry. He's performed at the Loft, EQ series, Revolver magazines, Revolver at the Ritz. His work can be seen on the walls of the MIA as part of the new exhibit, Arriving at Fresh Water, Contemporary Native Artists from Our Great Lakes. He was selected as a 2012 Jerome Fellow, a 2013 Beyond the Pure Fellow, a 2014 Verve Fellow, and a 2015 Loft Literary Center Spoken Word Immersion Fellow. So he's got some awards, he's got some heft, okay? Teresa Ortez is a native of Mexico and an immigrant to Minnesota. She's a poet, writer, spoken word artist. She writes in Spanish and English because she wants to honor the language of her ancestors and the language of her children. She's also a member of Palabrista's Latino spoken word collective. Her poems in English and Spanish have been published in several chapbooks, and she's performed in many other outlets in the Twin Cities. She's authored a book of testimonials of indigenous Mayan women of southern Mexico, Never Again, A World Without Us, Voices of Maya Women in Chiapas, Mexico. So, thank you all. So, in some of these, we've had a poem open up, so I'm going to ask Rihanna to read a poem by Joy Harjo. Yeah, the one on the right. Yeah, left, yeah, that one. No, that one, yeah.
Could you use everyone when you speak, could you use a microphone?
That's loud.
Is this thing on? I'll be here all week. All right. Transformations. This poem is a letter to tell you that I have smelled the hatred you have tried to find me with. You would like to destroy me with. Bones splintering in the eye of one you choose to name your enemy won't make it better for you to see. It could take 1,000 years if you name it that way, but then to see after all that time, never could anything be so clear. Memory has many forms. When I think of early winter, I think of a blackbird laughing in the frozen air, guards a piece of light. I saw the whole world caught in that sound. The sun stopped for a moment because of tough belief. I don't know what that has to do with what I'm trying to tell you, except I know you can turn a poem into something else. This poem could be a bear treading the far northern tundra, smelling the air for sweet alive meat, or a piece of seaweed stumbling in the sea, or a blackbird laughing. What I mean is that hatred can be turned into something else. If you have the right words, the right meanings, buried in that tender place in your heart where the most precious animals live. Down the street, an ambulance has come to rescue an old man who is slowly losing his life. Not many can see that he is already becoming the backyard tree he has tended for years before he moves on. He is not sad, but compassionate for the fears moving around him. That's what I mean to tell you. On the other side of the place you live stands a dark woman. She's been trying to talk to you for years. You have called the same name in the middle of a nightmare from the center of miracles. She is beautiful. This is your hatred back. She loves you.
Mm.